Water is life, and clean water brings health and even wealth. Water is one of the most basic of all needs of life. In fact, about 60% of the human adult body is made up of water. Meanwhile, about 71% of the Earth's surface is covered by water, and yet humanity's demand for water keeps growing as much as the global population. In Nigeria, research indicates that more than 70% of the population have access to basic water services, but more than half of such water is contaminated. This implies that the challenge is not necessarily with water resources, but limited access to potable water. Poor access to potable water translates to poor sanitation and hygiene in communities, and is also responsible for high mortality rates, especially among children under 5 years of age. What are the policies of government and efforts of key players to improve access to potable water in the country? We will find out in this episode of 30 Minutes on NTA News 24. I am MITAIRE IKPEN. The clock is ticking. Just like politics, you may say water supply is local. For this reason, we shall be heading to the grassroots to ascertain the situation with regards to water supply and how locals are coping with access to potable water. Lydia Sampson is our guide.
The saying that water is life sums it all up. This is because the benefits of having access to improved drinking water source can only be fully realized when there is also access to improved sanitation and adherence to good hygiene practices. In addition to the immediate obvious advantages of being hydrated and healthier, access to water, sanitation and hygiene, known collectively as WASH, has profound wider socio-economic impacts, particularly for women and girls. The fact that WASH is the subject of dedicated targets within the Sustainable Development Goals (SDG 6) is testament to its fundamental role in public health and therefore in the future of sustainable development. Fundamentally, access to safe water and sanitation are human rights, as recognized in 2010 by the United Nations General Assembly.
To say that what we got here is overtaking.
Cuba is one of the major suburbs of the nation's capital, Abuja. It is a densely populated residential district in Buari, one of the area councils in the Federal Capital Territory. Cuba is home to many civil servants and residents who cannot afford the high cost of rent in the highbrow areas of Abuja's city center. Portable water supply here, the people say, is virtually lacking.
Every individual make their borehole, because the information we had when we came here was that water board came to measure the place, and at a point they didn't bring the water down to our area. So every individual that got a land and built a house has to make their own water. So the water is drinkable. It's not everybody that have access to that borehole of a thing. But some houses have the water, some has wells. So, and some other, they are still making plans to bring water board down, because where they stop is closer to us than before.
There's no water in Cuba. Not only water, even light. There's no water. Even some people that have in borehole, even it's hard for us to fetch water from the borehole, because the borehole is not rushing much. It's more than they said the borehole are finished. You have to wait till the borehole come up again before you can buy the water. But talking about the tap, I don't think there's a tap in Cuba anymore. It will be long. Like before now, they will bring it 3 days. They will bring it 3 days. They off 2 days. They bring it 3 days. They will say there will be 2 days off. So that's what will be happening before. But now it's like a block final. There's no water again.
In Cuba in general, there's no availability of water, because many houses, they live by borehole water. They sink borehole. Places like phase 3, they have pipe bomb, but the water is not consistent. Sometimes the water will go off for more than 3 weeks, it will not come on. So we in this area, we don't even have water. Me in person, I came here since 2014 in this pipeline precisely. I've not have any source of water. I'm been living by my neighbor's grace. We have been fetching water with our help from our neighbor's place, and it's borehole, it's not pipe-borne water. So we need the help of government to come and give us water.
Now, 2 billion people lack access to portable, safely managed drinking water services, and 3.6 billion people lack safely managed sanitation services. Experts say unsafe hygiene practices are widespread, compounding the effects on people's health. The impact on child mortality rate is devastating, with more than 700 children under 5 who die every day from diarrhea, a disease due to poor sanitation, poor hygiene, or unsafe drinking water.
In Cuba, people are really suffering, if I'm not mistaken. I park into a one-bedroom flat at high tension, opposite Panteca, close to Bola. Almost 1 year plus now, there's nothing like water, and there's no adequate water. If I'm not mistaken, I don't even know if they pump water anymore within that area. It's been so easy. It have not been easy at all. Sometimes, even when you believe so much on those that had borehole to go and pay and fetch, when you get there, you will not see, there will not be water. In fact, NEPA contribute a lot to it. There's supposed to be adequate light when there's no water, even, so that the people that with borehole will pump for you to fetch. There will be nothing like that. So people are really suffering.
It's a very serious one because it has been a challenge. Although what most of the landlords do in this area is they do their own borehole, but it has really been a challenge. Some of the water, they are not good to drink. And because of that, landlords are increasing their rents, because by the time you as a tenant you are coming in, they will put those facilities in place, inclusive to the rent. So it has been challenging, sincerely. You see us buying Merua. The Merua is what most people live on, because even the ones that did this borehole, at times the borehole will block and there will not be water coming out again. And I would suggest if they can come up with this water board system here, if it can run in this place, it will really go along. It will really help us here, because like the borehole drilling of the borehole thing I had, it can cause like earthquake. You are seeing like 2-3 houses close to each other and they are drilling this borehole. At the end of the day, it can cause like all this earthquake and all that to the problem. So I think if they can come up with this water board thing here, it will help us.
There is serious water challenge in our area here. One of the reasons we don't have any source of water here. The water we use in this environment is being bought in most. We bought them from those that are opportune to dig a borehole, and it has not been easy for most of us because of the situation of things. Things is really hard. Even in some family, sometimes they find it difficult to even get, to buy these waters. At times they don't have the money to buy the water. At times some of them even go, when they intend to take their bed, they don't even do that because of not having the money to buy this water from those that has a borehole in their neighborhood. So as a result of that, it has not been easy for most of us here in this environment. So we are pleading if government can come to our aid by helping us to, dig either borehole or create any source of water for us, to ease the suffering of the people in this environment. From what I heard from some of the people that are that do buy water from the Meruas, I think they said a truck costs about 300 naira or so, if I'm not mistaken. Then the other ones? Yeah, the other ones they sell 20 naira per jerrycan.
About the water vendors, I think before you could get them, it's a little bit hard because many people do need them. You understand? And a truck, I said earlier, a truck is 300 naira, and people do buy them just like that. And normally, we do need water in the community, but I guess we are used to it. and we're used to it. Okay. Government have a role to play because we need water. We need water from the government. We don't want buying water. You understand? We need water from the government. We need to start paying water bills also, like the others. You understand? We use borehole, and I don't think borehole is okay for us. We need water from the government, like the water board.
A person without access to improved drinking water, for example, from a protected borehole well or municipal piped supply, for instance, is forced to rely on sources such as surface water, unprotected and possibly contaminated wells, or vendors selling water of unverifiable origin and quality. Like Cuba, in many rural communities, water sources are usually far from their homes, and it typically falls on the women and girls to spend much of their time and energy fetching water, a task which often exposes them to attack from men and even wild animals. In semi-rural areas like Cuba, water vendors fill the gap. However, the hygienic quality of water sources remain of great concern. Indeed, access to wash will help drive progress towards the SDGs concerned with poverty, work and economic growth, because indirectly it will help achieve gender equity. As in the rural communities, it is women and girls who bear the burden of collecting water and caring for relatives made sick by lack of wash, and who often miss out on education due to the domestic roles assigned to them. Lack of wash exacerbates the marginalization of females by locking them into a cycle of poverty and toils with wider consequences for society and national economies.
The federal government in 1976 got involved in water supply when the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and 11 river basin development authorities were created to manage the water resources of the country and conserve bulk water, primarily for irrigation and water supply. What are the policies driving water supply under the Buhari administration, and what is the role of state governments? Let's find out from Thomas MITAIRE.
Water, they say, is life, as the importance of water in the day-to-day activities of man cannot be overemphasized. In Nigeria, water supply is the responsibility of state and local governments. However, the federal government has many interventions in the states to ensure the availability of water across the country.
Federal government has gone way forward in certain instances to do all the stuff that's needed, from the source, whether it's a dam or a river intake, to the treatment, to the transmission, to storage and distribution. But at that point, the federal government must hand over that scheme to the states, because it cannot run. The federal government cannot run a water board, a water agency, and that we've been doing in a lot of cases, and that has been done. So yes, we do a lot of interventions. We're now the P-Wash program, for instance, Partnership for Expanded Water, Sanitation and Hygiene. It's a federal government intervention to support states in rural water supply. Then we're in this administration, in accordance with the water resources policy, which we approved in 2016. We also introduced a budget line in the federal budget of the Federal Ministry of Water Resources to support state governments in the implementation of their urban water schemes. The policy provides that federal government can support up to 30% of investment required for urban water scheme and 50% for investment in rural water scheme.
The federal government also develops several policies for water availability and supply in the country. These policies include continuation of abandoned and ongoing projects with significant effort towards actualizing them.
We align those policies with our roadmap, and that is what we've been doing, implementing the roadmap, which is consistent with these policies. In addition to the policy, of course, we also relied on the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, and also the existing National Water Resources Master Plan. So that's what we've been doing. Of course, along with the challenges as we face them, also especially related to funding.
Drawing from the policy framework of the federal government, Most state governments are also making efforts at domesticating such policies.
But those states that are doing well, like I said, because they have chose to prioritize water. I think what we need is for the entire country, the whole purpose of why Mr. President declared that state of emergency was for the whole country to follow in unison, to accept that water, sanitation, and hygiene are very important and put them on the front burner. So to make them top priority. Without the highest political will at federal, state, and local government level, it's very, very difficult to deal with that. But I'm proud to say that at federal level, the political will has been demonstrated, both in the launching of the Wash Action Plan and the declaration of a state of emergency on wash, and subsequently on the launching of the Clean Nigeria campaign and also Executive Order Number 9. So
the FCT administration, for instance, has also embarked on some unique projects to ensure the availability of water for Abuja residents.
The Greater Abuja Water Project has come on board to assist areas that have not been provided with water infrastructure. So there are a lot of reticulation is going to be done so that the environs within can have water. You know, the initial conception of water infrastructure in the city was done in phases when the city came on board. But with the numerous people coming in, the influx of people into the city, and the way the human factor is being increased every day, every time, there's need to have more of this reticulation to get across to every other person. You may realize that we have a lot of estates in the city, which was not envisaged with the rapid growth. So this project is coming up so that it will help the FCT administration to get water to all these places.
Despite the combined efforts and strategies of the federal and state governments at ensuring availability of potable water, water supply is still inadequate as the population keeps increasing. Many Nigerians who engage in housing development resort to sinking borehole, especially for areas not yet connected to the public water supply.
You can't stop people from drilling boreholes in their houses, But in rural communities, there are rural communities where your only option, that those, especially those in the hinterland, the only option is to provide them with boreholes. That is okay, but in urban settings, sourcing water from boreholes is not sustainable in the long run. You continue to deplete the aquifer, and at some point, you may even exhaust the resource. You don't know what is underground. The groundwater is very funny. Sometimes it's just a patched aquifer. You drill, you find water. By the time you pump for a week or two, the water is finished. So it's not sustainable, and that is why since I came into office, I've been advocating for states to invest more in urban water schemes. Municipal water schemes are key. You do a scheme, then you treat it, you pipe it into people's houses, you meter it, and you collect the money. And it should be done commensurate with population increase. As the population is increasing, you're also investing. Otherwise, if the city is growing faster than the investment you're making in the water, in water supply, obviously you're going to be finding a lot of problem, because there will be very many dry pipe taps, and people will have to continue to resort to this boreholes everywhere. But I hope and I pray that with all the efforts we're making, with all the advocacy we're making, people will begin to, the state administrations will begin to think long term, and to start preparing doing their water master plans, and start methodically implementing their projects, so that the project may not be finished within their tenure of office, but the people will still be there.
To address challenges in water supply, the federal government has developed short and long-term plans to boost water supply across Nigeria.
In FCT, efforts are being made to improve. We have the raw water for FCT is enough to last decades. The treatment plant is enough to last decades. The only problem has been that the population explosion in FCT
was going faster than the rate at which infrastructure was coming. And that's why we have this problem. But now, this very administration has secured funding, and already a project has started, $400 million project to expand the distribution network of Abuja, because the problem of Abuja is just distribution.
Why it is costly to produce and distribute potable water, it has, however, been observed that some Nigerians have the habit of wasting water.
We should not take water for granted. But unfortunately, water happens to be the most taken for granted resource. We take it for granted when we should not. The aspect of water conservation has been brought to the barest minimum. As you say, once water is available, we'll open the tap and waste it. They are washing their cars, they leave the hose running, you are brushing your teeth, you leave the water running from the tap. To clean drinking water goes to waste. In the 1980s, I went to a village in Bauchi State doing some fields investigations. The water I saw people collecting to drink, you will not use that water to wash the vehicle, the tires of your vehicle, not the body of the vehicle. The tires of your vehicle, after going through a muddy road, you will not use that water to wash the tires. But that was the water they were collecting for drinking. So you can imagine that. So we need to educate our people. Awareness is key, it's very important. We need to make our people have an attitudinal change.
The peculiarities of the Federal Capital Territory and the geometric growth rate of the population makes it imperative for authorities to leverage on a source of fresh water that is long-lasting.
We get this water from Kurara. It's in Kaduna State. The FCT administration and the Federal Ministry of Water Resources had this collaboration and had a pipeline from Kurara into Lower Usman Dam. Initially, when the FCT started, that's the Federal Capital Territory, came on board, we were using Jabi Lake. And as the city kept growing, the water there could not sustain the influx of people coming in and the growth of the federal capital. So another way had to be sourced. So with the assistance of Federal Ministry of Water Resources, they are the policy makers. We are just the ones that go along with the policy to make sure that policies are being executed or implemented. So a pipeline was built, some 5 kilometers into Lower Usman Dam, that we get the quality water we need. Presently, we are pumping water from Gurara, and this can take about 2 months continuously. It's a beautiful sight to behold.
Water is also critical in ensuring sanitation and hygiene in the country. This is why the federal government is leaving nothing to chance to improve Nigerians' rating in the WASH sector, that is, water, sanitation and hygiene.
We have from the beginning the National Water and Sanitation Policy 2004, domiciled in the Federal Ministry of Water Resources, and every state is expected to domesticate that policy depending on its peculiarities and adapt it to suit their environment, because you have differences from one state to the other depending on the environmental conditions, the water resources of the state, and also their capacity to fund some of these water and sanitation projects. But basically, every state is supposed to key into it and have it. But to come to the recent events now, you remember 2018, the president declared a state of emergency on water, sanitation, and hygiene, and also made declaration of to end open defecation in Nigeria as a whole by the year 2025.
There is advocacy that the media has a role to continually sensitize Nigerians on the need to safeguard critical infrastructure being provided by government and avoid all forms of vandalism and sabotage. Key players agree that all hands must be on deck to improve Nigerians' fortunes in water supply, sanitation and hygiene in the country.
Indeed, all hands have to be on deck to make potable water accessible to all, And in the words of UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, water can be a source of conflict, but also of cooperation. It is essential that we work together to provide better stewardship of our water resources. That's all for 30 minutes today. Thanks for watching, and rest assured, another interesting topic beckons in the next episode. I am MITAIRE IKPEN. See you next time.